The canon is the most ancient part of the Mass and is said with the greatest solemnity. All the prayers of the canon are read from the Missal and said in the quiet voice. The first prayer of the canon is the Te Igitur. Before the priest begins the Te Igitur, he first joins his hands, separates, elevates, and rejoins them as he lifts his eyes to the cross, then bows profoundly over the altar and rests his joined hands on the edge. This entire gesture is made in silence. Only once he is bowed down does he begin the Te Igitur. The first part is said in a profound bow with hands joined on the altar. After the phrase Supplices rogamus ac petimus, the priest separates his hands and kisses the altar. He then stands erect and joins his hands while he says Uti accepta habeas et benedicas. He then places his left hand on the altar and blesses both host and chalice 3 times as he says Hic dona, hic munera, hic sancta sacrificia illibata. He then extends his hands before the breast and continues with the remainder of the prayer. He makes a slight head bow towards the Missal when he mentions the name of the Pope. When the name of the bishop is mentioned, it should always be the name of the local ordinary of the place where the priest is saying Mass. The next prayer of the canon is the Memento for the living. At the words Memento Domine famulorumque tuarum, the priest joins his hands slowly as he elevates them just below his face and bows his head slightly. He does not pronounce the phrase en et en. He simply remembers those for whom he wishes to pray, either mentally or by mentioning them in the quiet voice. He spends a few moments in remembrance, and then separates his hands and holds them extended for the remainder of the prayer. The next prayer is the Communicantes. The Communicantes will vary depending on the season of the year. There is a special form used for Christmas, Epiphany, Easter, Ascension, and Pentecost. These special forms will usually be marked in the Missal on a separate page in the canon. For the remainder of the year, the regular form is used and never changes. The Communicantes is said with hands extended. The priest makes a medium head bow to the Missal at the name of Our Lady, and then a low head bow to the cross at the name of our Lord. If the altar Missal being used is an edition that was printed prior to 1962, the name of Saint Joseph must be added to the list of the saints. The formula which must be added is Et beati Joseph eiusdem virginis sponsi, which should be inserted in between the sed and the et of the phrase sed et beatorum apostolorum. The amended text should read Sed et beati Joseph eiusdem virginis sponsi et beatorum apostolorum. If it is the feast day of any of the saints listed, the priest makes a slight head bow to the Missal at the mention of that particular saint. At the conclusion of the Communicantes, the priest joins his hands. The next prayer is the Hanc Igitur. The priest extends his joined hands over the oblata and keeps them there for the duration of the entire prayer. It is customary for the server to ring the bell as the priest extends his hands. The hands should be extended so that the index fingers touch and the fingertips at the middle of the palms over the host. Note that there is also a special form of the Hanc Igitur for the octaves of Easter and Pentecost, which will be marked in the Missal. At the conclusion of the Hanc Igitur, the priest folds his hands and joins them again at the breast. The next prayer is the Quam Oblationem, which consists of 5 signs of the cross made over the oblata. The first part of the prayer is said with hands joined. The priest then makes 5 signs of the cross, 3 over both the chalice and host, 1 over just the host, and 1 over just the chalice. The third sign of the cross should be made more slowly, so that the priest may say all the words, Ratam rationabilem acceptabilem quae facere digneris, as he makes the sign of the cross. He concludes the prayer by joining his hands and making a low head bow at the holy name.